Hello everyone, this is Riddhi Priya, Assistant Professor from School of Management Studies, City University, Ludhiana. Today we are going to discuss about the topic Human Resource Management. So let us see what will be the learning outcome for the Human Resource Management. In this we are going to understand the HRM concept, the recruitment and selection part, the training and development and the performance management. In HRM concept, we are going to understand regarding the theories, concepts and the principles in HRM, including the role of HRM in the organization, like how the people work in the company, what kind of motivation required for the employees in the organization. In recruitment and selection, we are going to understand that how the employees are recruited in the organization, what is the recruitment process, what is the selection process, each and everything we are going to cover up. Next we have the training and development. We are going to train the employees in the organization in order to achieve the organizational goals so that the employees can work more effectively and efficiently in the company. And the last one is performance management. We are going to give the performance appraisal to the employees based on their performance, like what kind of target they have achieved, in how much time they have accomplished their objectives, each and everything we are going to cover it up. So let's start with the introduction. The HRM is the management of human capital and can be broadly categorized into three parts, that is intellectual capital, social capital and emotional capital. Let us first understand what is intellectual capital. Intellectual capital basically involves the knowledge of the employees in the organization, like how they are working in the company, what kind of skills and abilities do they have, whether they are able to accomplish their target on time or not. In social capital, we are going to check their relationship with the organization and with the employees in the company so that we can see that what kind of internships or targets the company can provide to the other people as well. Then we have the emotional capital. In this we are going to see that how much emotionally strong a person is, because in the organization you need to have a good self-confidence, ability, and you must be aware that how you are going to take the risk in the organization. So basically the human resource capital means intellectual capital plus social capital plus emotional capital, means the employee must have all these three capital in himself or herself, only then he or she will be able to achieve the target on time. Next we have the meaning of HRM. HRM is basically means that to manage the humans in the organization, what kind of resources we are going to provide them so that they can achieve their target on time, what kind of abilities are there in the employees, whether the employees are working more efficiently or not, right? So next is how responsibility should be given to the employees in the company. The responsibilities must be given according to the experience, according to the qualifications the employee is having. If the employee is well qualified and is having good communication skills as well, we can give him the various kinds of the responsibilities to the employee in the organization so that the employee will be able to motivate the other employees and they can achieve the target on time. By achieving the target on time, the company will earn maximum amount of the profit, which will ultimately help the organization to achieve their targets. Next is the nature of HRM. The very first is managerial process. In managerial process, we are going to include the planning, organizing, staffing, directing and controlling. In planning, we are going to plan out the things in advance so that we should not face any kind of losses in the future. The risk must be avoided. In organizing, we are going to organize the employees, we are going to organize the teams so that each and every team should work in an appropriate manner so that they can achieve their target. Next we have staffing. In staffing, we are going to direct the employees that how they are going to work out, how they are going to achieve the target, what kind of activities they are going to cover up, what kind of roles and responsibilities they are going to have it. In directing, we are going to show them the right path, what is the right path for the achievement, how they can achieve the target, what kind of abilities and skills are required for it. And the last one is controlling. In controlling, we are going to do the inspection of the employees, whether they are working appropriately or not, whether their targets are achieved on time or not. Next is that HRM is the art and science as well. We call HRM as the art because it deals with the qualitative resources. We see what kind of quality the employee is giving in the organization so that the name of the organization is built up. And in science, we are going to see what kind of techniques, knowledge or skills the organization is using to achieve the target, whether the company or the organization is using the appropriate technology for the target achievement or not. Next is pervasive force. Pervasive force means being an inherent part of an organization which is pervasive in nature. Means the HR must work continuously in the organization in order to achieve their target on time. Next is improve employee relation. We should improve the employee relation by building up the strong connections with them, by making them work more harder, by making the good relationship bond over there. Next is people-centered organization. In this, we are going to have an interaction with each and every employee in the organization so that they can work in a team, and because we all know if you are working in a team, that means we are achieving a good amount of the profit. So it is very much important to have the people-centered organization. And the next one is development of the company. If you are working in a team, if you are working with the people, that means the organization is developing by itself. Then is action oriented. Action oriented means a complete policies, rules and regulations are made up in the organization, which shows that how the employees are going to work in the company, what kind of targets are required to be achieved, what kind of targets are being given to the different kinds of the people or the employees in the organization. If you are giving same target to each and every person, then ultimately there won't be any kind of uniqueness in your work. If you are giving different kinds of the target to each and every employee, that means you are giving the uniqueness as well as you are achieving more targets at a one particular period of time. Next is forward looking. If you are planning the things in advance, that means you are a forward looking organization. To plan the things in the advance, that means you are avoiding the risk. You are making an environment where you can run a long time business as well. Next we have the scope of HRM. Scope of HRM, the very first is prospectus of employees. Prospectus of employee means we are going to check the CV of the employee, what kind of skills the person is having, what is his qualification, his previous experience, each and everything we are going to check out. Only then we are going to decide whether the company should hire that person in the organization or not. Next is employees hiring. Employee hiring is based upon the skills, the abilities, the experience and the qualification the person is having out. If the employee is well qualified, then ultimately we are going to hire him up by taking the interview. Different kinds of interviews are taken. It is called the part of the recruitment and selection. Next is employee maintenance. Once you hire the employee in the organization, we are going to maintain them by motivating them in different parts, in different levels as well, at different stages as well. In employee maintenance, we are going to motivate the employees so that they can work more efficiently as well as more effectively. Then comes remuneration. In remuneration, we are going to check how much salary or amount must be paid to the organization, to the employees, so that they can work efficiently in the company. Now salary depends upon the qualification the person is having and the previous experience that he or she is carrying out. If his qualifications are good enough that he can be the asset to the organization, then we are going to provide him the good amount of the remuneration. And the last one is employee motivation, which is very much important in the company. To motivate the employees in the organization, different types of the activities must be conducted. For example, you must conduct different types of the activities where you are motivating the employees by giving them the appraisal, free salary statement slip, or to give them the holiday package as well, to give them the leaves as well. This each and everything comes upon the employee motivation. Next we have objectives of HRM. Now why HRM is important in the company, what kind of objective does we have? The very first objective is to achieve the organizational goal. In each and every organization, it is important to achieve the goal of the company, because if you are achieving the organizational goal, only then you will be able to motivate the other employees, and only then you will be able to maintain your status in the company as well. Next is work culture. You must have a good and formal work culture in the company. You should interact with each and every person in the organization. You should have good relationship with the top level, middle level and the lower level management. Why? Because you all are going to work together towards one target, that means to have the maximization of the profit. Next is team integration. You must know how to work in a team, what kind of qualities are required to work in a team. If you're working in a team, you must cooperate with each other. You should know what are the benefits and negativeness about your team members, so that you can overcome that. You should always have or carry a positive attitude if you're working in a team as well. Next is training and development. Training and development is very much required if you are new into the employee, or you are working on a new or different types of the project. So training is given to the employees in the organization, so that they can work more efficiently. On the basis of their training part, they are going to develop their abilities, their skills, their knowledge, each and everything. Next is employee motivation, that we already discussed earlier, that it is very much important to motivate the employees in the organization. Why? Because with the help of the motivation, you can make the employee work efficiently in the company. Then we have workforce empowerment. In workforce empowerment, we are going to listen out the problems of the employees that they are facing, and we must provide them a good amount of the solution, so that they must be satisfied that yes, the company listens to us and they can work more efficiently as well. Because it is very much important to hear out the problem of the employees. If they are left unheard, then ultimately the employee won't give their 100% in their organization. Next is retention, the most important part of the company. The company must know that how they are going to retain the employees in the organization, because retention of the employees says that the company has a good work culture or the good work environment. Because the employee is only going to stay in your organization if you are giving them good remuneration, good performance appraisal, motivation and different kinds of the activities. And the last one is data and compliance. In this, we are going to collect the data of each and every employee that we are hiring up, and we should have a proper compliance over it, that whenever we are going to give the reference to the other company for the another employee, we must have that particular data so that we can work upon it. So next we have recruitment and selection. Recruitment and selection means there are many people that are invited in the organization, their applications are invited so that they can be recruited in the organization, but ultimately the selection is done on the basis of the interview process. So the very first is recruitment. Let us understand what does recruitment basically means. Recruitment is basically an activity of establishing a contract between the employees and the applicants. Means, for example, if you are a person and I am the owner of the company, I am here to take your interview, then you are going to give your application to me. Your application means the CV that you are carrying out. I am going to check out your CV, what kind of qualification or experience you are having, and accordingly I am going to let you know whether you are going to be there in the company or not. With the help of the recruitment, you are motivating the employee to join the organization with the appropriate salary. Plus, you have to cross various amount of the hurdles in it. Why hurdles are there? Because you have to give the different types of the interviews in order to be there in the organization. Recruitment is basically known as the positive approach, because we are not giving you any negative feedback during the recruitment process. So that is why it is known as the positive approach. And with the help of the recruitment, we are proceeding toward the selection. So what selection means? Selection means picking out the best employee from number of the candidates that we have, right? With the help of the selection part, we can choose which employee is best suitable for the organization, which employee can be proven the asset to the company. Only then we are going to select that particular employee for the organization. We basically call selection as a negative part. Why? Because we have to choose only one candidate from out of number of applicants that we have. So let us understand the recruitment process first. The very first step of the recruitment process is identifying the hiring requirement. How we are going to identify the hiring requirement? We are going to advertise about the job profile that we have. We are going to mention what kind of skills and abilities are required in an employee so that we will be able to work on time, right? And the next one is creating the job description. In job description, we are going to describe each and everything about the job, what kind of job it is, what can be the working hours for the employee, how the employee can work in the organization, what kind of work culture we are giving to the employees. Third is talent search. In talent search, we are going to check the basic abilities, skills and knowledge of the employees so that we can decide whether the employee will be suitable for the organization or not. Fourth one is shortlisting and screening. Shortlisting means, for example, I have 5 resumes with me, right? So among the 5 resumes, I am going to select only one CV which is appropriate for my organization, which is appropriate for the profile that I have been advertised. So accordingly, I am going to give the interview part. I am going to move toward the 5th step, that is interviewing, where I am going to interview the employee in a various manners so that I can check what kind of abilities or skill the employee is having. 6th one is evaluation and employment offer. In evaluation, I am going to evaluate the employee on the basis of the interview he has given. Now, interview can be based upon the verbal communication, or it can be based upon the written test, aptitude test, reasoning test, or anything. It can be a panel interview, it can be a one-to-one interview. That depends upon the system of the organization, how they are going to conduct the interview in the company. So with the help of the evaluation part, I am going to select the employee in the company if it is suitable, and I am going to give him the induction or the orientation program of the company so that he must be aware about each and every department of the organization, what kind of organization we have, what kind of departments are there in the organization, and how we are going to work in the company. So basically, induction part means where we are going to introduce the employee to the complete organization, because he or she is going to be the part of that particular family. Next we have selection process. Selection process means how we are going to select the employee in the organization. The very first is preliminary screening. In preliminary screening, I am going to give the personal interview of the employee, that is one-to-one interview, where I am going to take the introductory part of the employee. I am going to ask him about his job, his qualification, his experience, each and everything that is being mentioned on his resume. Then we are going to move toward the selection test, where I am going to give them a particular kind of test is taken of the employees, where I am going to select whether the employee must be hired in the company or not. Next is employment interview. In employment interview, I am going to check whether the employee is having a positive attitude or negative attitude toward a situation. Now in this, I am going to give him the situational analysis of the interview, where I am going to put him in a situation and I am going to check whether the employee behaves positively in that particular situation or negatively. If the employee is behaving positively, then ultimately I am going to select him up, but if he behaves negatively, I am going to kick him out from the interview round. Next is reference and background. Once he cleared the employment interview, I am going to check his references. I am going to call in his previous organization to take his feedback, and accordingly I am going to decide whether the employee must be hired in the company or not. In selection decision, I am going to take the decision whether I should keep that employee with me in the organization or I should switch to any other employee. Next is medical examination. Medical examination is not required in each and every organization, but in some companies medical examination is important to check whether the employee is mentally and physically fit for the job that he has been allotted or not. Next we have job offer. Once he clears all the examination part from the organization, we are going to offer him the job with the particular salary package and with the particular timing hours as well. Then it depends upon the employee whether he is interested to work with our organization with that particular amount of the package or not. And the last one is contract of employment. Contract of employment covers what kind of time period the employee is being given in the organization, for how many time we have hired him up, and up to what time his increment will be done in the organization. In some organization, the increment is done on the basis of the performance the employee is given in the company itself. So let us now move toward the another section, that is training. As we all know that training is obviously a continuous part in each and every organization and in our particular life as well. We train ourselves on daily basis related to the different kinds of the situation. So training is a continuous, or we can say it is a never ending process. So with the help of the training, we are going to train the employees in the company, how they are going to work in the organization, what kind of task they are being allotted, how they are going to react over the different kinds of the project, so that they can always carry a positive attitude and they are ready to accept the challenges that are going to be there in the company itself. These are the objectives of the training. The very first objective is to increase productivity of employees. If you are training the employees in a well mannered or in a proper manner, that means you are increasing the productivity of employees as well. Now, how you are increasing the productivity? Once you are training the employees in the company, you are making them more efficient to work toward the various types of the project, right, and toward the various targets of the organization as well. If you have trained them well, they are going to work in a more efficiently and more effective manner. Next is remain competitive in the market. If you have given the proper training to the employees, they are going to remain competitive in the market. How they are going to remain competitive? They are going to motivate the employees and other employees, their team members as well, so that they can work togetherly and more efficiently in order to achieve the goal of the organization. So by achieving the goal of the organization, that means you are having a good situation, you are having a good face of your organization in the competitive market, where you are going to deal with the different types of the companies in a very positive manner. Next is change attitude of the workers. The change attitude of the workers means what? What kind of attitude you are carrying toward the different types of the employees in the organization, whether your attitude is positive or negative. If you are having a positive attitude, then ultimately each and every employee will be happy to work with you as a team member. But if your attitude is negative, then the employees won't be satisfied to work with you as a team. They'll ask the manager or the owner of the organization to change the team member. Why? Because you have a negative attitude. So it is important to have the positive attitude, right? And next one is enable workers to adapt quickly to changes. Whatever changes are being occurred in the organization, the workers should know how they are going to adapt it, how they are going to work in such a way or in such a situation that they can achieve their target on a particular period of time. And the last one is to provide growth opportunities to existing employees. The employees which are already working with the organization, what kind of opportunities you are providing to them so that they can achieve their target, so that they can improve their resumes, their growth must be done in the company. So it is very important to promote the employees in the organization on timely basis, because if the employees are not being promoted, then they will see that there is no growth in the company itself. They are going to move toward the another company. So it is important to give the growth to the employees in the company. Next we have training process. In training process, the very first is need assessment. Need assessment means whenever you are training the employee in the organization, you are going to assess them by giving them the various kind of the situation or task to check whether the employee is working more efficiently or not. Then we have defining training objective. What kind of objective is required for the employee to train, we must be clear them that why they are getting trained for that particular situation. The employee must be aware the basic objective of the training part. Next is designing a training program. We can design a training program by deciding whether the employee must be given on the job training or off the job training. Now, on the job training means when you are training the employee in the particular organization at working hours only. No any extra time is given to the employee to train themselves. And off the job training means when you are training the employees after the working hours in the organization, where they are going to stay in the particular organization when their working hours are complete. Next is implementation of the training program. Once you have decided that yes, these number of employees are going to trained on the job training and other employees are going to get trained on the off the job training. So accordingly, we are going to conduct a program, a complete session for the employees where they are working on themselves to increase their knowledge, to increase their abilities in order to maximize the profit. And the last one is evaluation and follow-up. In evaluation and follow-up, we are going to evaluate the performance of the employees. We are going to evaluate the training part of the employees, that how well they have been trained up and how well they are going to work in the future as well. Next we have development part. Now what is development? If the employee is getting trained in the organization, that means the employee is developing himself in the company in order to achieve the target, in order to have the good knowledge, good skills and the good abilities. So development is the process of your employees discovering and involving into the new person. Now how they are involving into the new person? Because they have been trained up before, right? So once the training is done in a proper manner, that means the employees are developed enough to achieve the targets on time and to maximize the profit in the organization as well. Next we have that how we are going to have the performance management in the organization. Once you have trained and developed the employee in the organization, we are going to have a proper check upon the performance of the employees in the company, how they are going to perform in the organization, how we are going to manage their performance in the organization. So performance management is basically an ongoing process of communication between a supervisor and an employee. Now what kind of communication is required between a supervisor and an employee? Supervisor is a person who keeps the record of each and everything that is going on in the organization. An employee is a person who is working under the supervisor to make the company achieve their targets on time and to earn the maximum amount of the profit as well. So it is important to have the good relationship between the supervisor and the employee, because if you are having a good relationship between the supervisor and an employee, only then you will be able to make them see your performance, what kind of target you have achieved, what kind of social targets you have achieved for the company in order to make the market stand in the company. So for that we need to have a proper planning. Proper planning means each and every employee must be aware that what kind of goals are required to be achieved, because once goals are set and individual succeeded, then it is important to see that which organization is working more efficiently in the market. Then we are going to compare the performance between the organization to the another organization, between the employees and the other employees, and we are going to check what kind of merits and demerits both the companies are having, how we can improve it up, how we can make our employees more efficient so that they can achieve their target. So it is important to have the planning in the company, because if you are planning out the things in the company, only then you will be able to work in smoothly manner. Next is monitoring. Once you have planned out the things in advance, that how you are going to achieve your target on time, you are going to have a proper monitoring of that planning part. Proper monitoring means you are going to keep an eye upon the target, upon the project the employees are working on. You are going to check whether the employees are working more efficiently, more effectively or not. If the employees are not working more efficiently, then ultimately you are going to change the employee. Why you are going to switch the employees? Because you cannot switch your target. So it is important to have the employees, the well educated employees on a particular project if you want to maximize the profit. Now, how you can make the employees well educated? By providing them various kinds of the trainings which are being essential for them, by giving them free certification courses as well, by conducting various kinds of development programs in the organization so that they can develop their skills, their knowledge, their abilities, and most importantly their self confidence and what kind of attitude they are going to carry out in the future. Next we have developing. If the employees are giving poor performance in the organization, then ultimately the company won't be able to earn maximum amount of the profit, and the company will have to face the various kinds of the losses in the future. So it is important to develop your employees in the organization in such a manner so that they can achieve their target on time. Doesn't matter the target is given as an individual or it is given as a team member. Next is rating and rewarding. If the employees have worked very efficiently toward the achievement of the goal, then we are going to reward the employee of the organization by giving them the performance appraisal, by increasing their salaries, by giving their promotion. Means there are various kinds of the ways where you can reward the employee in the organization. So if you are rewarding the employee in the organization, you are motivating the employee in order to achieve their target and in order to work more efficiently in the future as well. Now these are the key elements of the performance management system. We must understand how the employee is being worked in the organization. We should know whether the employee is working more efficiently or not. We should have a proper record of each and every employee in the organization, whether they are working more efficiently in the company or not. Next one is to check the objective of the employees, whether the employees are achieving their objective on time or not, whether they are working more efficiently in the organization or not, what kind of objectives were given to the employees, whether they have achieved their objectives on time or not, right? Next we are going to check what kind of strategies are being used by the employee in the organization to achieve their target. The employee must create a proper strategy in order to fulfill the targets of the employees. If the targets are being achieved in the company, the employee will be able to motivate himself and the employee will be able to get the promotion as well. Next is to have the good relationship with the employees in the company. If you are having good relationship with the employees in the company, you will be able to work in a team as an individual and with the other team members as well. Why you will be able to work in an efficient manner? Because you have the positive attitude toward the achievement, toward the goal. We must understand what kind of policies are being made up for the particular project, because if the rules and regulations are being followed by the organization, by the employee in the company, the employee must be aware about the policies that he or she is having out in the company. It is important to have a good policy in the organization. Why it is important to have the good policies? Because with the help of the policies, the employees will be able to work in a proper systematic manner. So if employees are working in a systematic manner, that means they are achieving their targets on time. Next we have to achieve the target on a particular given period of time. If we are unable to achieve the target on a particular period of time, that means we are not proving ourselves to be the assets of the organization. So in order to prove yourself as an asset toward the organization, we must understand the importance of the time limit that we have been given by the employees or the manager of the company. Along with the performance that the employee has given in the organization, we are going to check whether the employee must be rewarded in the company or not. In order to give the rewards to the employees in the organization, the employee must work more efficiently and more effectively in the company so that they can maximize the profit in advance.